everybody, it is Glenda
And Buster
and Rosie coming to you from aka GK Fralin,
a friendly community.
and our friendly community welcomes you. We're back in our studio and there's no echo. Anyway, tonight we're going to have a special project.
We are?
Yes, we are. And it involves paper, tape, some fabric, and a needle and thread, and a button.
What?
I knew I got you going there. But Rosie, did you notice something?
What?
You haven't looked in the mirror today, have you?
No.
You have your ribbons back, both of them.
Oh, looky there. I got one there, one there. Oh, I'm so happy. Yay.
Oh, they are pretty. They're very pretty, Rosie.
Thank you, Buster.
Okay, before we get too sappy, shall we move on?
Sure.
Okie dokie, I just want to give you a little bit about what that mystery was all about. It is summer in Nebraska. This doesn't look very dainty, but neither does this. Anyway, we are not always in some place where, well, and in many parts of the world, or wherever you are, we're not always in air conditioning. We're not always where there's a breeze. I mean, sometimes we just have to make our own. And we just use these a lot. Guess what? We still can. Make them, keep some, one or two in your car, maybe one in your purse. And we don't have to buy the fancy ones that they used to sell in the store. We make them. Like this. I am not going to do what I did up here at the top, because I don't think it turned out looking lacy the way it was supposed to, and I'll show you a close-up of that later. But what I've done is I found we have a picture book of stuff. I have taken some pages from it because, for one thing, it was already falling apart, and for another thing, it was a library. The library was getting rid of the old stuff that nobody had looked at, was out of print, whatever. And they used to sell it off, they may still, they used to sell it off by the sacks full on 1 or 2 days in summer or season, or whatever. So we're going to, as you probably, those of you who have done this when you were younger, we're going to fan fold. So there's a picture of school children on this side, and there's a picture on this side of just kind of just a scene, and little different colors. So we're going to just fan fold this thing. I'm going to take about 3/8 to a, that's probably about 3/8 to ½ an inch. I did not measure, so we'll hope it comes out right at the end. If not, we have our trusty scissors. You just know me by now. I don't do things as exact as maybe some would. And sometimes maybe I should do more exact. And sometimes a little more particular if it's something needs to be particular. But this is one of those that doesn't really need to be particular. Or I'm not going to be particular about. So for all those out there who just cannot stand to see somebody not measure, close your eyes. I never measured when I was cooking it. Well, if it was a cookie recipe or something, I measured. But as far as making spaghetti, goulash, seasoning a roast, no, that's all done by just what you've done before, what was good, by tasting and adding and subtracting, and it came out just fine. And what did I do with my tape? Of all things, I put it in the sewing box. Guys, that is one thing I do recommend. When you put things away, put them away in the right place. Okay, for the sake of time and for just for getting it done. And I don't think it's done wrong. I don't know how else I would do it, but depending on what I'm using. Anyway, I'm just going to put some tape around here. I didn't poke any holes here either in order to string it together or whatever. I just didn't. That's just not something I had time to do. Anyway, and in case you didn't notice, I've got a paper cut, so I'm getting a little blood on things. It's pretty much stopped. Okay. On this one, I had to do a little bit of trickery to get that nice little bow to stay put. So I'll do a little trickery again. Okay. Now, since I'm doing this as a regular bow, instead of doing, you know, doing the kind where you instead of doing the kind where you know, kind of cut it apart, do a center and all that like you would on a gift, that doesn't apply very well here. So I'm trying my best to do a nice bow, type bow. And of course that leaves that on top there and makes it all skewed. So I'm twisting this to the back. And you probably aren't seeing a bit of what I'm talking about. I'm taking one of these ends, I'm twisting it to the back. There. Now we've got the bow front and center. There, like that. And again, in order to kind of cheat time, and until I get everything in place, I'm going to kind of use some tape to keep that from coming back around and messing up my bow. Okay, and then I have a trusty a red button with a gold. Now this is a doubled over and tied so that it doesn't, for one thing, slip out, and for another thing, because this is the kind of button it is, because it's a coat type button, I can get it to hold on to the fabric and not pull through the thing quite so easily. Now here I didn't leave it long enough, but anyway, this is, if you do it right and you leave your thread long enough and you make sure that you don't go through the back end of your bow, which is what I did and why it keeps puckering, it might look better. I was doing it too fast. So anyway, I'll fix the dangly bit later, but I kind of like it with this smaller button. But that is what I have done, and you don't need to go out and buy fancy fabric, you know, and stiffen it with starch and all that, unless you want to. That's perfectly fine. You can go out and you can buy some nice ribbon, which I probably would have done, and maybe done you know, pre-tied bow and stuff. You can even do the sticks so that you can close it with the sticks. But if you want something that you can put together quick and easy and take out to the park to watch, you know, the kids play and there's no breeze, or you just, you know, you just like to sit there and fan yourself, why not? I kind of like it. I like this one better because I took my time. That's it, guys. This punching was supposed to look lacy. I don't think it looks lacy, at least not the way I did it, pretty much the way they said to, but I'm sure they're more artistic than I am, but I don't really care for doing that. Maybe it's just the wrong paper, wrong print, I don't know. To me, it just does not look lacy. Maybe it was the wrong kind of hole punch. We will not worry about it. It is done. And we have our fan. So, we have now a fan to add. And there we go. But did you like the fan?
Yeah, I think it looks really pretty and ladylike.
Us guys would rather have one of those, if we have to use one, just use a piece of paper and flap it in front of our face. Women do that too, sure, but we prefer the prettier things.
Yeah, Buster.
I think it's time to say good night. Good night, good night. Don't let the bugs bite. Good night, good night.
Sleep till the daylight.
Good night, good night. Be kind to each other. Good night, good night. Tell someone you love them. Good night, everybody. Let somebody know that you acknowledge them. It might even be somebody you know. Maybe a neighbor that just never gets a knock on their door. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, bye, bye.